been almost 10 years since this track has felt the passion, excitement and speed of the pinnacle of motorsports. But finally, the wait is over. The creme de la creme of Formula One has arrived. So join me, Samantha Johnson and the Beyond the Game team as we take a look at what we can expect from the Turkish Grand Prix right here at Istanbul Park.
It means a lot. In terms of motorsports in our country, I think it means everything.
Motorsport has long been a Turkish staple.
Lando and Carlos weren't around when we last went to Istanbul in the Formula One car.
But when Sunday afternoon is done with, I think you're going to still see the same winner.
Your neck just wants to rip off and go to the grandstand, basically.
We will give a really warm welcome to Formula One and hope it will stay for a long time.
Istanbul Park may have only had 7 Formula One races, but that doesn't mean it's not an iconic track. Despite debuting in 2005, the Turkish Grand Prix has seen the likes of legends take to the asphalt. From Michael Schumacher to Fernando Alonso, Jenson Button and even Kimi Räikkönen. But a lot has changed since then. Tele Duman takes us through how Formula One got its start in Turkey, why it left and what it took for the sport to come back.
In motorsports, Formula One is king. Speed, technology, and fierce competition aren't the only reasons why, though. It's a global sport. From Australia to Monaco, Singapore to Brazil, every year F1 takes its TV audience of almost 500 million people all around the world. And in 2005, Formula One added some more international action to the mix with the Turkish Grand Prix.
I hope our new F1 track won't let us down and give Turkey something to be proud of. We're looking forward to proving the circuit, and Istanbul is ready to host the race.
Istanbul definitely passes the eye exam. And sporting-wise, the city has never fallen short of big moments. Liverpool's miracle in Istanbul comes to mind. The 2005 Champions League final is widely considered to be one of the competition's best ever. So much so that football fans are already looking forward to this season's decider, which will take place at the Atatürk Olympic Stadium once again. The Turkish GP's track was designed to provide the same kind of competition, with excitement and unpredictability at every turn.
It's a lot of fun, there's a lot of undulation, so it's going down and going up a lot of rises, and there's a lot of blind spots into corners, so you're braking before you can see the corners. For the drivers, it's going to be one of the most exciting circuits.
And it was, mostly for Ferrari's Felipe Massa, but that fun only lasted 7 races. Between 2005 and 2011, the Turkish Grand Prix had been shaping up to be one of the staples on the F1 calendar. There were V10 cars, challenging rainy races, and even inter-team controversies. And it seemed like more action would be on the way, until it got too expensive for Istanbul to host the race. Formula One and Istanbul Park weren't on the same page starting in 2012. The annual cost of around $20 million was just too much. Fast forward to 2020, COVID-19 ravaged F1 season, multiple GPs were cancelled and the sport needed racetracks to fill in its calendar. That meant the Turkish Grand Prix would be coming back, albeit temporarily.
We signed a 1-year contract for this year because of the pandemic, as the conditions differ. Once this race is successfully completed without a hitch, I can say that both sides are willing to turn this into a long-term contract.
Whether or not Formula One's return to Istanbul Park is permanent, one thing is certain. All signs point to another exciting weekend of sporting glory in Turkey. Talha Duman, TRT World.
Well, we couldn't do a Formula One special without friend of the show, Jason Tahanjoli, who joins us ahead of a remarkable weekend. And I'm also joined by Sadi Hezber, the General Manager of Intercity Istanbul Park. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me. We have got quite the weekend coming up. Now, Sadi, I'll start with you. Look, just tell us about the preparations ahead of this weekend.
It's pretty good, actually. The track was in pretty good condition. but we wanted to make it a bit better and modify a bit for the upcoming race to put on a good show. For that reason we changed the asphalt, so it's pretty new and nice now. For the new regulations, safety regulations, we are altering, modifying all the curbs, safety barriers, FIA fences, lots of painting, all the electronical and technical systems are being checked and controlled, so everything is going pretty good.
So technically everything is quite literally on track. Brilliant. Okay, and Jason, you're very much a part of the motorsport family here. Look, just tell us what it means for Formula One to be back in Turkey.
It means a lot. In terms of motorsports in our country, I think it means everything because, you know, being able to host the pinnacle of motorsports is obviously a great pleasure, and we should be are very proud of it when you think about it. So having the opportunity to host it again and being able to basically welcome all the Formula One community, from engineers to the drivers to the management, everything is just, it's an absolute privilege. Amazing.
I mean, what will it take now for Formula One to keep on coming back? I mean, we don't want this just to be a one-off.
We've always had great races here, we know that. I mean, we've had some of the best races in terms of, you know, drama, you know, just racecraft and everything, but we just need to be able to give the best show possible in terms of both racing and organisation. And we've been doing this for such a long time, and I think it's everything's in our hands but not in our hands, but we'll just have to do, everybody here, Intercity, Istanbul Park, will do their best, and I'm sure it'll be a great spectacle.
Okay, and Sadi, you will know better than most of us. I mean, what will it take for the sport, for Formula One, to be back in Turkey next season?
Actually, first we need to organize perfectly this race. We are quite confident on our team that we will put on a great show for all F1, FIA, F1 teams, all the working personnel here. So that's the first step. Normally the government wants the races to be back for a longer term. We want the race to be back for a longer term, and F1 and FIA wants Turkey back in the calendar for a longer term. So I think if you put on a really good show here, I think we are almost there.
Sadi, thank you so much for joining us. Jason, stay right there because we will need you for the rest of this show, believe me. Right, Istanbul Park is one of 5 tracks in 2020 that this generation of drivers aren't that used to. Imola, Mugello, Portimao and the Nürburgring have all added some freshness to the COVID-19 stricken season, but it's the Turkish Grand Prix that stands out. Drivers and race fans love the circuit, and that's because it's a difficult terrain to navigate. Adel Halim explains the twists and turns of the track.
Istanbul Park is widely considered architect Herman Tilke's finest work, and here's why. It was initially designed to run clockwise, but Tilke decided to go in a different direction and made Istanbul Park a rare counterclockwise track on the F1 circuit. That means it has more left-hand turns than right-hand ones and puts more physical demands on drivers used to navigating clockwise circuits. Istanbul Park sits on more than 2 square kilometers of land. The 58-lap Turkish Grand Prix is more than 5 kilometers long, and its track has an average width of 15 meters. It's been described as a punishing track for tires. Several elevation changes make the course fast and challenging to maneuver. There are 14 corners. Right out of the gate, drivers must contend with the Turkish corkscrew, a sharp downhill left-hand corner on turn 1. But the Istanbul track is best known for turn 8, also known as Diabolica. The fast sweeping corner has multiple bends and increased bumpiness, which quickly made it known as one of the greatest corners on the F1 calendar. This is also the first time the Turkish GP will be held in November, so weather could add another challenge. In fact, Istanbul Park chairperson Vural Ak is hoping for precipitation, saying if it rains, then we will have lots of fun. Technology has improved significantly since the last F1 race was held here, and organizers believe the faster cars could set a new lap time record.
Now, if you are a hardcore fan of Beyond the Game, you will know that this man right here has given me quite the thrill of my life around this track. I should be used to it, but I just can't. Oh my gosh. It's worse when you close your eyes. Jason, because of you, I've had the pleasure of experiencing this track, especially Turn 8. Now, can you just describe to everyone what makes this part of the track so unique?
Well, first of all, it's anti-clockwise, which a lot of drivers are not used to because most of the tracks around the world are actually clockwise. So that's for one. But when you come to turn number 8, you got 4 consecutive very fast corners, basically allowing the driver, especially a Formula 1 driver, to feel around 5.5 Gs of downforce, basically created lateral force, and that means your neck just wants to rip off and go to the grandstand, basically. So yeah, it's a huge thrill. It's something that a person would experience next best to a fighter jet pilot, basically. So imagine the weight on you that your neck wants to just go somewhere else, and that's you're feeling for about 7-8 seconds. That's not easy.
I remember, and for that whole week, my body was in absolute bits. I can't believe
we were in a very fast road car, and we were probably experiencing maximum amount around 1.5 Gs. Can you imagine 3 times more than that? That's a lot.
Well, as you just mentioned, this track is anti-clockwise, so not a lot of the drivers will have had the experience of having this or having driven at Istanbul Park. So how are they going to navigate around?
Well, let's think about it. You got obviously the forces are mostly on the opposite side, so people will tend to train their neck mostly, you know, according to basically they'll start training their left side of the neck, because obviously when you go left, you know, your neck wants to go right, so your neck side is going to be weaker. So people will, or drivers will be basically training their neck mostly for that particular side. And obviously the circuit itself is just so exciting. You've got undulation differences, you've got elevations, you've got slopes and everything in consecutive flowing corners. So honestly, until turn number 12, I think it's one of the most spectacular circuits in the world.
Okay, and where do you think the race will be won and lost? I mean, you just listed a lot of factors there that could make for a very unpredictable race.
Mm-hmm. Talking about unpredictability, let's say, I mean, now we're having the race basically in November. Previously we've had it in the summertime, so we know it's a hot day and everything, but now we don't know if it's going to be rainy. Of course it's going to be colder, the weather, the pressure is going to be different, the temperature is going to be different, the wind's going to be different. All no, we got a new tarmac, we got a new asphalt layout here, another thing, new cars, a lot of new drivers, so there's a lot of unpredictability. So whoever will basically let's say, judge what's going to happen and, you know, do their homework, and whoever's going to make the most out of the time they will have in terms of practicing qualifying is going to win. But again, you know, probably the common 3 will be there up you know, in the front line, basically. Obviously the Silver Hours, the Red Bulls and the Ferraris. But considering it's a circuit that both depends on engine power and aerodynamics, I still think, you know, the Silver Hour is going to be up there, I guess.
I suppose so.
Yeah.
Right, what a weekend we've got coming up. Right, Formula 1 looks very different now compared to the last time the teams were here at Istanbul Park. The technological advancements have paved the way for massive growth in the sport. But how have the cars changed over the last decade? Matt Gooderick reports from London.
9 years is a long time in Formula 1. For starters, the cars of today are expected to shave off around 6 seconds from their qualifying laps compared to the last time they were at Istanbul Park. Yes, teams have data to look back on. The trouble is, it's from May the 6th, 2011. That day, Sebastian Vettel brought home a Red Bull 1-2. McLaren just missing out on the podium places. A lot has changed since then. McLaren's association with Mercedes isn't the only museum piece.
Yeah, I mean, it's very different now. We've had a lot of regulation changes between that period and now, but we've been through a power unit change, of course, which has been very significant in that time back in 2014, and through several chassis regulation changes as well. And the cars we have now are by far the fastest I think we've ever had. So what we'll see at Turkey this year will be very different to 10 years ago.
McLaren technical director James Key and his team are hoping the 2020 vintage will impress around Istanbul Park and learn from last time out.
I mean, I think the reference data you have is still important. It means that you can correlate to something for starters in terms of a modelling point of view, and then update that model and base it around the same correlation, if you will, but with added knowledge on the tyres and that sort of thing coming in. So you definitely have, it's definitely better than going to a track you've never been to before, because there's no reference data there. And we know we've got that massive corner there which goes on forever and is very, very high G. So That's the sort of thing we'll be checking.
McLaren currently sit fourth in the constructors' standings, just a point behind Renault. So still a lot up for grabs as they arrive in Istanbul.
In terms of our operations at the track, nothing will change. You know, we need to go in with a very clear plan to get the car tuned. So all this, a lot of prep to do with that. But really, when you hit the track from an operational point of view is when you really know, and then you have to adapt very quickly. So we'll be planning to do that. And we've got to get the drivers settled in as well. Lando and Carlos weren't around when we last went to Istanbul in the Formula One car. So there'll be a busy period Friday, and that's what we'll be planning to do. And then hopefully it'll be a little bit more like a normal race weekend from Saturday.
For a sport that's all about precision and preparation, arriving at a circuit for the first time in nearly a decade is a headache for all the teams lining up on the grid this weekend. But that's what makes this year's Turkish Grand Prix so unpredictable and hopefully one to remember.
Okay, that was Matt Gooderick in London for us. So Jason, how much of a difference do you think that these new and improved cars will make at Istanbul Park?
Well, definitely they're going to be quicker, if that's dry.
Really?
Yeah.
No.
So yeah, well, I mean, the previous lap record was around 124, 125. So I think we're looking around 122s maybe. I think that's a lot. That's very quick when you think about it, because the cars back in 2005 were very quick, especially with the engine power and the less aerodynamic drag efficiency. But now we're talking about these huge beasts that will basically go around the circuit very quick. So I'm thinking about 122s. So 3 seconds quicker is quite a lot when you think about it.
Okay, well, how big a part will experience play in this as well? I mean, Lewis Hamilton has raced at this track as well.
Well, Lewis Hamilton's one of the very few drivers that will come back here and has basically seen the circuit many times, you know, from GP2 days to basically all the F1 races as well. So yeah, obviously it's a huge advantage when you think about it, because he's not going to experience anything new. He knows which turn goes where, what's going to happen and everything. So yeah, from basically from the first practice onwards, he will have an upper hand compared to the drivers. So yeah, I mean, he loves the circuit. He's got some good memories here. So let's see, we hope see some good ones this time as well.
Well, speaking about Hamilton, he's been the most consistent of the bunch since the last Turkish Grand Prix. A career-changing move to Mercedes in 2013 saw the Brit become one of the sport's greatest, if not the greatest. He's been passing Michael Schumacher's records one by one, most recently overtaking Schumi's all-time race win tally at 91 at the Portuguese Grand Prix. The British driver now has his sights set on equaling the former Ferrari ace's 7 world championships, something he's probably going to accomplish here at Istanbul Park. So Lewis has already made history, but the most exciting thing about it all is that he's not done yet.
No, he's not. I mean, he's only 35, considering that Kimi is racing till 41. You don't know, obviously, how motivated he will be racing for another 6 years, like Kimi is, obviously, currently. But, you know, he's still, I think, in himself got the urge to win, the urge and the passion to race and be a part of basically Formula One, because he just said many times, he loves Formula One, he loves competing. So, obviously, being such a great driver, you know, talent-wise in the whole complete package, if he's in a good car, he is going to win, simple. And, you know, as I said, if he will be in a good car in the future, we will see many more wins and basically extend the current records he has. And, you know, maybe he'll even have an 8th world championship, we just don't know.
All right, Jason, always a pleasure having you on our specials and on Beyond the Game. I'll see you this weekend.
Indeed, yeah.
Well, one man who knows what it takes to drive at that level is the former British Formula One driver and 1992's 24 Hours of Le Mans winner, Mark Blundell. Now, Oliver Reagan spoke to him about Lewis Hamilton's incredible achievement to surpass Michael Schumacher's all-time win record.
Well, Mike, let's start with that record breaker, Lewis Hamilton, surpassing Michael Schumacher's mark of 91 Grand Prix wins, and what an achievement that is.
Incredible achievement, and it's actually an honour, you know, as a former Grand Prix driver, to actually see somebody do what they've done in the shape of Lewis Hamilton achieving such a thing, because, you know, I never felt that there was going to be anybody that was going to surpass Michael Schumacher. The fact that it's been done and it could even progress to more Grand Prix wins and set a new benchmark that, again, I can't see anybody else beating that, but we've seen records beaten already and probably see him again, but not sure it'll be in my lifetime.
Let's move further down the grid. Who else has impressed you so far this season?
I think there's been a few people. I think, you know, somebody who's really impressed me has been Hulkenberg. Hulkenberg's come into the sport, you know, back again from kind of semi-retirement, and not had any practice or any understanding of this generation of car to a certain degree, and he jumped in and produced some outstanding results. And for me, shows that he should be in a Grand Prix car for the future. I think there's other guys, Lando Norris, outstanding, Verstappen, brilliant. Disappointments, I think would have to be Vettel. I don't think I've seen somebody of his standing, you know, 4 world titles under his belt, drop off the map as quickly and as violently in many ways as what we're seeing, because some of the performances are, you know, pretty poor now in comparison to his teammate. Yes, Ferrari have had some struggles, but at the same time, you know, it's quite sad to see somebody like Sebastian not being able to perform to the level and expectation that we all felt was there.
The Turkish Grand Prix returns this season. How excited are you to see racing back at Istanbul Park?
You know, if you ask any Grand Prix driver down pit lane, I think all of them would say that that circuit in particular is one of the most challenging. Quite a new circuit, so, you know, not steeped in much tradition of such, but at the same time, you know, it's got some of the most challenging corners. Definitely have to be committed.
There's been quite a big gap between the last Grand Prix there and then this season. Do you think that might bring a bit of unpredictability to proceedings?
Yeah, I think there's always going to be a little bit of expectation on what is going to happen when we get there. You know, from the point of view that they don't have any practice on the circuit until they arrive, they don't have any understanding of experience for many of the drivers, as you say, because it's been a few seasons since we've seen the Turkish Grand Prix. So simulator work will be all important, but I think again it's a different time of the year as well, which is also going to have some effect on tyres, on durability, and you know, there's many questions that will have to be answered, but they won't really get all those answers until Sunday afternoon's over and done with. But when Sunday afternoon is done with, I think you're going to still see the same winner.
The race at Imola is in the rearview mirror. The focus is now solely on what happens here in Turkey, with just days to go until the eyes of the sporting world are on Istanbul Park. Robin Adams takes a look at Turkey's long-standing love affair with motorsport.
10 years is an awfully long time. In the decade since Turkey last staged the Formula One Grand Prix, so much has happened. A former reality TV show host became the president of the United States.
Nobody builds walls better than me, believe me.
The teenage climate activist was named Time's Person of the Year. And Fleetwood Mac's #1 track from 1977, Dreams, returned to the charts thanks to a viral TikTok video. All the while, Turkish motorsport enthusiasts were dreaming about getting another shot at putting on a top-class F1 show.
I was really happy because for a long time we wait for this opportunity, and for me as a Formula One fan also, it's special because I remember the first time I watched Formula One in Turkey, and for a long time we tried to get this race back, and luckily the COVID helped us for having this opportunity. We are really excited and really well prepared as a country. I'm sure we will give a really warm welcome to Formula One, and I hope it will stay for a long time.
To say that government officials are over the moon about F1's return to these shores would be understating it somewhat. They're super eager to add the hosting of another major event to an already impressive list.
Turkey has excellent sporting facilities. We are capable of hosting big events domestically and internationally, and even better than many developed countries, with the hospitality of Turkish people. We are thankful to our president. God willing, we will host the Formula One and the other events in the best way possible. We are an ambitious country when it comes to sport. We will continue to march to the top by raising champion athletes in every sport.
I must say that in the last few years we have good motivation with this motorsport, with the new talents, with the young drivers, so we are getting better year by year, and my feeling with the Formula One, it's also another important step on this way, so I feel it's a good step for us.
Motorsport has long been a Turkish staple. Mind you, there's a long-running joke that the locals here have petrol flowing through their veins. The excitement is being fueled by the fact that some of the biggest names in F1 will be right here in Istanbul, showing off their skills to the world. Lewis Hamilton, Valtteri Bottas, Sebastian Vettel, Max Verstappen, the who's who of top-flight racing will be in town. it is party time in Istanbul. Robin Adams, TRT World.
And that's it for this special edition of Beyond the Game. And what a weekend we have ahead of us. The highest class of racing is back in town. Formula One's 2020 Drivers' Championship may very well be decided. Another great day for sports in Istanbul ahead. Don't miss it. Catch you later.